you have like such a fascinating background. I think one thing that I want you to get into a little bit here is because a lot of people, especially from our audience, you know, a 1,641 room hotel like the Palmer House is far bigger than a lot of hoteliers can even comprehend because,
Yep.
you know, I think the average hotel room or the average size of a hotel in the United States is around 150 rooms. So 1,641 rooms for a lot of people listening is outrageously big. So
It is.
can you, for everybody listening who doesn't know, could you give us a rundown of how housekeeping operations work in such a large property? Because I think a lot of people, they think, oh, well, you know, how many boards are you going to have for your room attendants? Give us a little bit about that so they can understand a little bit about housekeeping operations at such a large place.
So in our particular case, we had, I would say, about for 300 ladies in total, you including a first, second, and third, and overnight shift. Most of them were our room attendants who has been working there for more than 10 plus years, so they pretty much know their setup. We divide the building in different sections, and usually if you're a supervisor, you will get, in the best case scenario, 2 floors. It's not the same all the time. And then you have to be very, how can I word it? You have to be very smart on the way you manage your time, not only in order to flip the rooms as quick as possible with keeping in mind that you still have to follow, you know, hotel and brand standards, but it also on a fast pace, because in some point when you are in the front desk, you know, you're checking people in, there is a line of 300 people that it needs to go immediately to the rooms. That puts a lot of pressure on the front agents. And then with that being said, they also call us and let us know, hey, what happened with those rooms? So we try to be, you know, as much as productive as possible in terms of when we pre-ship in the morning. Usually we try to do it like 30 minutes before the start of the shift. And we'll let them know, you know, what floors are going to be the groups in. If you have a group of 300 people, which floors are going to be set up? So we try to, you know, 2-3 supervisors going there to help them out for the first 3.5 hours of the day. We send a more room attendants to cover in order to flip easily and reduce the waiting time at the front desk, knowing that the hotel is big, the lobby is nice, is big enough, but having a 300 people line is not an easy task. People get tired, people get bored. Most of them are people who come in from seminars. They have to just drop their baggage and go back to the buses and go to McCormick Place. So you really need to be able to flip those rooms as soon as possible. And those scenarios we will know prior to the day, we'll schedule room attendants to come early, maybe an hour and a half early, in order to flip out the rooms and move out through the day. But for the most part, we work as a team. When we knew that we have a heavy traffic, we prepare the day before. We try to not do late departures. We try not to extend stays. And like I said, if we can clean rooms overnight and get it ready for the first batch of the morning checking, that easy the job for the rest of the day, you know, if for both departments, including sales, because sometimes you have sales up in housekeeping, you know, pressure on the managers. So I need my rooms. So we just try to communicate and work as a team. That's how we did it over there.
So, because I think a lot of people are going to be fascinated to know. So at a hotel the size of the Palmer House, you have 3 shifts of housekeeping room attendants. So, because a lot of people are used to, the room attendants start at 8 and they leave at 4:30 every day. And that's the end of housekeeping for the day.
Yeah.
So you have room attendants cleaning rooms 24 hours a day.
Yeah. Usually happens on the busy season. Yeah.
Yeah. So right. So when it's busy, you could, in theory, have 3 shifts, 24-hour coverage of people cleaning rooms. So it's not, you know, there's never a scenario when it's busy where by 4 o'clock every single, you know, 1,600 rooms are cleaned. it's certainly a process that takes much
Yes,
longer.
it never. We wish that would be the perfect scenario, but it unfortunately is not. So and you have to take in consideration that are most of the time there are guests that are probably part of the our reward program, as in case of Hilton, and you need to, you still need to provide your uh, guarantee your rewards program members that you're going to have late checkout, that you might be able to extend the stay or maybe upgrade. So all those facts also we take in consideration in order for us to have a plan in action when we have a heavy check-in for, whether it can be a wedding, whether it can be a group, a massive group, group that it comes from, other places around the world. So we try to, as much as possible, to have a 24-hour service in terms of get the rooms ready for the following day.
Yeah. So with because I know you mentioned that the building is divided into sections.
Mm-hmm.
So could you elaborate on that a little bit more for us? I know that if you're a director or a manager of housekeeping
Mm-hmm.
at the Palmer House, to look after 200 or 300 ladies at any given moment would probably be impossible. So I think, when you mentioned that the building is kind of broken down into chunks, can you explain how that operation works with the smaller chunks?
So how the apartment house is sitting on a corner between three major streets. You have the State Street, Monroe, and Wabash. With that being said, it's like three different towers that divide the building. So in the area where it faces straight the street, we will have maybe 2, 3 sections. Each section can hold, at that time with Union Contract, it was 16 to 18 rooms. Each person will have that amount of rooms per board. Obviously, that changes if you have a heavy checkout that usually happen on Sunday, that it will reduce the amount of rooms that a lady can clean. It will drop down to 13. But usually it is 3 per area. So you will have 3 on that area, another 3 on the front, 3 or 4 on the front, because it is the larger part of the hotel, which is face Monroe, and another 3 sides. So you're pretty much talking about in total of 9 sections per floor. On the upper level that we call it the towers, which is between the 21st to the 23rd floor, you have less amount of rooms per section because of the fact that there are larger rooms. So those ladies, instead of having 18 rooms, will have an amount maybe at 12 to 14 rooms, depending on the size and the credit of it. But that will be pretty much the basic. Each supervisor will be checking between 150 to 200 rooms per day. It's understandable that you're not going to walk every single room, because when it's a large hotel room, attendants are usually allowed to be auto inspector person, so they are allowed to release the rooms. The supervisors just go in case of is any issues, or it's a VIP room that you need to actually go and do extra detail work, or it's a room for a wedding bridal party. So certain things that we consider VIP that it needs in a manager or in supervisor inspection, we will go. But for the most part, I mean, try to check 150 or 200 rooms a day it's not that possible. So you have to trust your team that they are doing, they're following procedures, that they are doing their job, as we expected them to do.
And that's really, really tough to do in a hotel that size, with so many tenured employees in a union environment.
Mm-hmm.
Mad respect for that.